something you guys are doing that's cool. And the other thing you guys are doing, which is neat, is you guys are very community involved. I would think that's a focus of yours, because I see a lot of stuff with, whether it's you at Rolf's or you at, a fundraiser, or even just, hey, doing, where in the world is Johnny O'Brien? Like, I love those, like, you know what I mean? Like, little cool things like that. So how have you guys tried to put yourselves in the community aspect, even though you do a lot of out-of-area sales?
So we had, initially when we first started doing this marketing, we realized that it's pretty embarrassing, and I can speak from my own opinion, that I worked at Bobby's Lounge for a while as a bartender, and I had no idea what Placo was, and it was located right next door. And every day, gaggles of people would come in, either for lunch or they would come in for horseshoe night, and I'd ask them what Placo was, and they'd say, oh, we're a foundry. And I was like, okay. I'd pretended I knew what that was. I had no idea what it was. Well, when I started working for the company, I realized that nobody in Plattsburgh knows what we do. And we're actually the longest operating business.
I didn't know what you did until probably a year ago.
Yeah. And you probably still aren't really sure, other than it's valves.
That's
But, people had heard about the company, but they really didn't know much about us. And what we decided was we really needed to, we're fortunate that, if you think about it, 122 years ago, where we are now, we're in the city of Plattsburgh operating a foundry, so it's really heavy industry. At the time, we were outside of the city. We weren't in the city. The city was downtown, was Margaret Street, was, kind of this area. So we had moved outside of the city because we were a big commercial operation. And then the city kind of grew around us. So it's kind of bizarre that next to our foundry is we have houses and apartments.
Yeah.
And we've got these, almost 6 acres in the middle of the city where we're making millions of dollars of valves that we sell
It's
worldwide.
very out of place, like in the current, like it feels out of place.
It's definitely very out of place. To us, it feels normal. It feels like home because it's always been there. But so many people drive by it, or when we have people who want to visit, they're like, where are you? And I try to say, like, okay, we're on White Street. They don't even know where White Street is.
Yeah.
They have no idea.
Like again, being in real estate, White Street's still one where I'm like, wait, White Street is, oh, that's right, it's not a battery, okay, yeah.
Generally when we say either kind of behind, across from Bazzano's down the street, or behind Bobby's Lounge, then everyone's like, oh, okay, I've got it. But they still are, like I said, always unclear. So we developed an idea that was our 120th anniversary coming up. So when we were 119 years old, what we decided to do was we were going to do 120 acts of community involvement to celebrate our 120th year. And we wanted to conclude them before our 120th anniversary. So we gave our employees carte blanche to say, any and all projects will be considered. Let us know what you guys want to do. We gave them paid time off to do it. And we really kicked it off. And what we found was there was a few, I would say, naysayers at first that said, oh, if we let people, say they're going to volunteer, they're going to, kind of screw the pooch, or they're going to take full advantage of it. And they didn't, obviously, because we have a lot of pride in what we do. We're an employee-owned company. And it was really fun to watch the things that they were doing and how interested they were in getting involved. And it was not just one project, which was cool. It was like all over the place that we were doing things with veteran groups. We were cleaning up parks. We were just, getting a group of people and bringing donuts to the police and local EMT saying, thanks for protecting our city. And every time we did it, like, these people were so happy. So then it made our employees happy. Mm-hmm. And it really, even for the, half of our operation is unionized. We're Teamsters. So the Teamsters are bound to a particular contract, and they generally don't get to leave the plant during the day. So when we started allowing people to leave sometimes to do these acts, it was kind of cool that they could go to their kids' Boy Scout effort to do something on company time on behalf of Placo, and then they'd get recognized on the, either the Facebook page or something. And we had summarized it all, and we had over 1,000 hours of volunteer time when we finished our 120 acts, and the 120 ended up being 150 something. And that was just the ones reported. There was still a ton more that they didn't. So we've kind of kept that as a tradition that we encourage the employees to do it. We seem a lot more credible because even though before we'd say we've been here for over a century, it doesn't really, even knowing somebody, it was really hard to get the right people in. And now, we don't even have jobs posted, and we're constantly getting people like, hey, let's put our application in case you have something, because they hear about the things that we're doing and we seem pretty cool.
Well, and that's you just said it. Like, if you come across as a company where people would want to work, and you have like that cool aspect, or you have that, hey, they seem like a good group of people that get along, there's plenty of places in Plattsburgh that have that kind of that culture. But if you're not promoting it out there, people don't know about it. And that's one thing we focused on. Like, I think our office is a fun place. Like, I think the people we have are fun. I think everything we do is fun. But if we're not telling that story to people out there, then people are applying in other places or not even getting in. And there's people that I know have gotten into real estate, not because real estate was really like their first thing, but they had an interest in it. But now they're like, actually, they look fun, and I do kind of like real estate, so let me just ask them about it and maybe get into it.
Right.
So I think you guys will probably see that, and Have you guys grown in employees since you started?
So
For
yes and
marketing?
no. Since we started the marketing program, at one point we were up to about 75 employees. Due to attrition, we've gotten down. I mean, last year we had 3 employees with over 40 years retire. So we've not filled those positions, but we kind of staffed up for it, saying, okay, like Jordan, for instance, that you mentioned, he spent about a year and a half working in the foundry, knowing we were losing some of the talent. So he could really understand. I mean, he started in our stock room, but he actually learned the process of how to take the material, boil it to 2,000 degrees and turn it into a liquid state and actually make the castings, which is something he had no idea. I mean, I think he was a correction officer before he came to us.
Yeah.
So we've invested that time in training the people, and then our president and CEO had passed away a couple of years ago. So we did just, I shouldn't say recently, it's been almost a year now that we refilled that position. So we've had some flux, but we're at a really good point now because while we've added headcount, we've got the right headcount. There's always a need for more people, but we're doing things so much more efficiently now that we were able to cut out a lot of the waste of things that we didn't necessarily need.
Yeah, no, that's cool. I just think you guys are doing a great job on that, and that's, like I said, the idea of you guys have built a brand up around you guys, because again, until I started seeing you online, I had no clue what you were doing. Besides knowing, well, at the time, Alex Bernard, and you call him Milky, but besides knowing him, like, I don't even think I knew Nolan worked at the company up to like that point. And then I kind of like could see stuff, and I saw pictures of him and Joey and Jordan and Milky and these people that I had known. And it's like, wow, okay, so if all those guys work there, because 60 people, that's a lot of spheres of people.
For 5 people that work there, all in different jobs, that's kind of a lot of people.
Yeah, and when they go out, and all of a sudden now when you post on Facebook and a photo of Joey gets 70 likes and comments and shares and all these things, and now all of a sudden it's seen by 5,000 people, and like, well, somebody knows him, and now they're like, okay, Platco. And you're really taking that idea of a community of people internally and branching out and using their entire sphere to grow your name. So that's really cool.